Beware, super spoilers. I have to confess something. I made a mistake. So we were reading this other book, and when I finished Snapshot, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pick up the other one because we had the physical copy, and I'm gonna finish out what we were listening to, just to be done, because we're so close to the end. I picked it up and I finished it. I am so angry with Brandon Sanderson right now that I am suspicious that I can't get through this other book review with a kind word. But I'm gonna try. Good morning, everyone. Persephone Jane here, continuing on my 2020 book review series. Today, I'm reviewing a really quick read. Snapshot by Brandon Sanderson is about two IRL cops, in real life cops, who enter this, let's call it a giant room that is filled with organic matter, and it creates a snapshot of a day. And as cops, they go into this snapshot to gather evidence or look for clues to help solve crimes in the real world. And so that's their job. They do this regularly. They go in, they look for clues in this one place, or they follow a perp to find where they stowed the weapon, so that in real life, the cops can go find that weapon wherever they stowed it, that kind of thing. So that's what they do. And in the book, they're in a snapshot and they're working through the case that they're on, and they they find another case that they decide to investigate as well. And then those things kind of collect at the end. They come together, obviously. So that's what it's about. I got it on my Nook for like $3, and it was only 77 pages. So it's not super long. It was really easy read. And I realized as I went into it that I've only read and or listened to Brandon Sanderson's fantasy. And this is mystery with a little bit of sci-fi element to it. It's not like super full-blown sci-fi. It's more of a detective mystery. And that's not a normal genre for me as a personal reader. Not that I dislike it, it's just not something that I gravitate towards. So I was interested to read a fantasy writer's take on a crime mystery kind of story. And I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of it. I was even able to like predict a few things, and the big thing at the end, I didn't predict at all, except in the notes from the author section. I learned that big twist at the end is like the most common expected question that I should be asking as a mystery sci-fi reader. I didn't know to ask it. I do now, and the examples that he gave, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But as someone who's not in that genre regularly, I didn't know to ask that question, so it never even occurred to me to ask that question. And thus, the ending was actually a bigger reveal and twist for me than it would have been for someone else, which was kind of exciting because I really enjoyed the twist at the end. Literally, like the very end, like the last couple of pages. It was like the last thing. But I enjoyed it a lot because I wasn't expecting it. The main character has committed a crime, and the snapshot is actually a snapshot of him. And other cops are in there investigating him, following him around in the snapshot. And in real life, he did the crime. And so they're trying to follow him to prove it. And in the snapshot, he doesn't do the crime. And at the end, they're like, but you did it. We know you did. You confessed to it. But this time you didn't. And what happened? Where's the deviation? Why did you change your mind? And so they introduced this concept of how the butterfly effect, how that one small deviation can change not only something, exponentially in the world, but personally and internally. In real life, he pulled the trigger, he committed the crime. But in the snapshot, because of that deviation, he ended up not. So they actually were in a position where they came to prove he did a crime that he did, and then in the snapshot he didn't. So then they didn't have their proof. But I love the idea of the butterfly effect to begin with, but the way that Sanderson introduces it and brings it to your attention at the end, of course, is amazing, because Brandon Sanderson is a brilliant writer. Until I got to the end of this thing. But as far as Snapshot is concerned, I greatly enjoyed it. It's a quick read, it's super fast, and I literally was turning every page because I was anxious with Davis, and I was worried about what was happening, and I was just right there in it with him the whole time. The way that Sanderson writes just pulled me right in as a character, and I followed him. Did I identify with him? Not very much, because it's just the lives are too dissimilar, but I felt the anticipation of what was coming, and I could see the little clues that were being dropped to some of these bigger things, and I was like, oh, I'm dreading when this shoe drops. When the main character is visiting his son in the playground inside the snapshot, his partner disappears, and I'm 100% convinced that he's having an affair with the main character's wife. And later you find out that he is, but he has been for several months in the snapshots. And the main character already knew that. And so I was like, okay, well, if he already knows it, then where's the real conflict coming from? So then later I thought maybe his partner was the killer. He wasn't. But that's because the main character was the killer of the partner, not of the case they were working. It was really great. But I enjoyed how these things played off each other, and you think you're doing one thing because all of the feelings are kind of the same, and all of the terminology is the same, and all of the happenings are the same. There's guns, and there's violence, and there's mystery, and there's intrigue, and there's sneaking around, and all of these things are the same for all of the different layers of this story. So when they came to fruition the way that they did, you were like, oh, that's okay, sure, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. But it wasn't necessarily something that I saw coming, and I like that. I enjoyed it greatly. If you want a really quick read, you can even do it digitally for not a whole lot of money. I highly suggest Snapshot by Brandon Sanderson. We'll take a crack at this one some other time.